Hello, good evening. Welcome to another Unplugged live session. I'm just waiting for Sergio and Gabriel to join, and we'll start our session in a minute. Hello, Gabriel. Good evening.
Hello.
And
Hello, Lionel.
hi,
Hello,
how
everyone.
are
Hello,
you?
Good
Sergio.
evening.
Hello, Sergio. Good evening. How are you?
Everything's fine. How are you guys doing?
Okay, well, doing great. Another great day, another great tour. A bit rainy, but well, it's what it is. So we do what we can, and we try to get the most of it.
Well,
Well,
same
good evening.
here. We had a good day too. And yeah, I've been working today online, so we launched our Portugal Unplugged page. So, guys, don't
Good
forget to follow the
job.
page too, okay?
So,
Go ahead, Lionel.
well, welcome everyone. Well, I see Pedro Abrantes. Hi, Pedro.
Hi, Pedro.
And well, welcome to another Unplugged live session. I'm Leonel Rodrigues from Desirable Portugal Tours. With me, Gabriel Lima from GL Tours from the Algarve. Sergio Costa from Portugal EV Tours, based in Porto, Douro Valley. And for tonight, we have a topic that once in a while comes into discussion. Um, well, about hiring a guide, the difference about hiring a guide, the value that can be added by a guide, what makes a difference, and also some tips about what to look for, which questions to ask, what information to provide, if you are really thinking on investing your precious time with a guide to show you a little bit more of this beautiful country. I'm gonna throw the ball to Sergio. Sergio had some a great feedback recently. Congratulations for that, for the great job.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And having someone writing about hiring a guide makes total difference. Tell us a little bit on how you felt about that, and how can a guide make a difference on someone's journey.
Good evening, everyone. Yeah, well, a big shout out to Thomas. I don't know if he's watching us this evening or not. He's been following Portugal Unplugged for quite a while now, and this is
Yeah.
actually one of the places that he researched. And he followed the advice that we tell very frequently is just don't just trust a single source. Read all about it. Read in from multiple locations, multiple sources to make an informed decision. So I was very happy to host
Sorry.
him and his wife Maria a couple of weeks ago, and we had a great time. And the feedback was, well, it was stupendous. I couldn't have asked for better feedback, and it's worth the pictures and the words are worth basically gold for us because it basically means that we're doing a very good job. And he wrote that, well, basically, hiring a guide can make a difference in how you experience a place, a location, a monument, an attraction, etc. How we cater our day, how we structure it, and it's something that I've always been very forthcoming. I always faced, and this is not just because I am a tour guide, but I always see hiring a guide as more of an investment rather than an expense. And as of late, I've been advising people who are coming to Portugal, who are planning a trip to Portugal, that there's always three things that you need to be concerned about when going to a location. The first thing, well, is how you're going to get here. And so you need to book your plane tickets for the time that you want to be here, figure out what works for you during your holidays, how you're going to coordinate your schedules, etc., etc. So how you're going to get here is number one. Second thing that you should be concerned about is where you're going to stay. So given the amount of time that you have, 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, more, less, I don't know. But given the amount of time that you have, what is going to be the main focus of your trip? And so once you get here, you're going to need a place to stay. And so if you're staying for 1 week, maybe it just makes sense to stick around 2 locations. It can be Porto and Lisbon, can be Lisbon and the Algarve. If you're not very fond of big cities, maybe Algarve and then another place more inland, small villages. I've had a little bit of everything, and well, for people coming to Portugal for the first time, and even though the group is called Portugal Unplugged, I always advise people that yeah, there's nothing wrong with sticking to what is tried and tested, and to see the highlights of the country, the places that everyone raves about. Go to the major towns, get a vibe of the country, but there's still a lot of country to explore after that. And then the third thing that I advise people is, well, you already know how you're going to get here. You already know where you're going to stay. What are you going to do when you get here? And this is where we tour guides become really invaluable for the overall experience that people have over here in the country. And I'm talking about Portugal, but this is applicable anywhere in the world. So these are the three things, in my opinion, that people should be concerned about when planning their holidays. The rest is just a matter of scheduling and details, so it's fairly easy. But I always advise people to book the tour guides, and especially when they first get to a new region, to a new location, because the tour guide is gonna cut straight to the chase and he's gonna take you to where you want to go, the things you want to see. There's not going to be any wasted time, and it's going to make and throughout the day with the report that we're building with the traveler, we're going to understand what moves him, what are his pressure points basically, and we can advise certain things like certain restaurants, certain locations, where to go, what to avoid, how is the culture over here in Portugal, if there's any specific thing that you should know, for example, speaking of Portugal, any specific things that you should know from the north versus the south. So all of this makes a ton of difference in how you're going to experience the regions. It's like, for example, asking for a bico or asking for a cimbalino. So it's well, sometimes people are a little bit confused, but we're asking for the same thing. It's
Yeah.
just that one of the expressions is used in the north, the other one is used in the south. And this is just one of the many examples that we have to offer. So yeah, a tour guide is not an added expense. So we're not over here to sort of steal your money or anything like that. Some people think that hiring tour guides, I've seen this online, they call us scammers sometimes even. Well, it's a bit of a depreciation term, but well, our time, the time that we invested into doing our research and to save your own time and the amount of knowledge that we're going to pass during the time that we're with you, that is going to be very invaluable. And I would say that spending a couple €100 on a tour guide to provide you with a genuine experience, something that is immersive, something that is sometimes even tailor-made for you, and with all of the points that we're going to pass on to you throughout the day, where to go, what to eat, what to avoid, what is typical, what is a tourist trap, etc., etc. That little investment can save you sometimes in the tens or even hundreds of euros down the line, which you can use for other things, like, for example, purchasing souvenirs, authentic souvenirs, not just something that you can find, for example, in an alley hop, which are popping around like mushrooms throughout the country.
Yeah.
So this is some of the insights that tour guides can provide. We are basically very direct. We can give you valuable information, something that cannot be conveyed during an email exchange or a 30-minute rapport video video call that we can do with you. It's just by coming over here and just by pointing out directly, see this, don't do this, or see that. That's something very unique that you probably would not give a second thought when you're passing through it. And we have plenty of examples like that. Not just in the Douro Valley, but in the cities in Porto and throughout the entire country. So a lot of people are very surprised, and this is one of the things that comes from a little bit of my hobby and that I like to share with the customers. Very few people know that, for example, the Douro Valley is also a certain part of the Douro Valley is considered to be a dark sky reserve, and it's one of the best places in Europe to do stargazing. And that's one of the reasons why I sometimes incentivize people. Yes, the Douro Valley during the day trip, it's very beautiful, but at night it completely transforms. The vibe that you have at the location is completely different. And when we have the opportunity to work with people who are really early on in their planning stages, it's very, very rewarding to be able to just give them all of these tips on things that we think are really interesting, and they're going to add a lot to the Portuguese experience. For example, if they cut one day out of traveling in, of being in Porto or being in Lisbon, and they want to add a countryside location, for example, that's going to give a new dimension to their experience over here in Portugal. So these are some of the things that we like to do, that we like to share. We're very direct again, and we like to give all of these informations. And our main goal is to provide people who reach out to us, is to provide them with a fantastic experience, a fantastic day, or sometimes even multiple days. And so they can enjoy Portugal to the fullest and make the best of the time that they have over here. That's it. That's us tour guides. And this is just my opinion. So I'm gonna do the long pass now to Gabriel down in the south. So what do you think a tour guide should do?
Well, definitely what we've been doing, because I think we've been we've been doing a good job. Of course, we are not perfect, and like you said, people, they should check, because you know, we have knowledge. We talk about the advantages of hiring a guide, whatever, but we are tour guides too. So maybe people, well, of course, you have to highlight your profession, but no, when we really think about the benefits, well, just like Yvonne from New York. Yvonne, good evening. And she said so well, you know, yeah, she prioritized guides in order to save time and money. This is the fourth bullet point. When today I was writing the topic, the test for the topic, I pointed out there, you know, it's insane, because sometimes we think it's just an expense, like you said, Sergio, but it's not. It's an investment. And sometimes the ROI, it's even higher than the investment. I mean, so sometimes we invest, let's say, 250, 300, 400 euros, it doesn't matter, in a guide, but then in the next few days, with all the knowledge we gather from this guide, tips, suggestions, advices, we're gonna save time, we're gonna save stress, we're gonna save so many things. So by the end of the week, maybe we are actually saving money. So this is a good point, and then I'm gonna let you to talk about the Thomas comment, okay? So in the meantime, like, just to add something more, because of course this is, for us, this is our daily bread, right? We are tour guides, so we are always trying to make people understand the advantages to hire a guide. For instance, I'm quite active also on travel groups, and when Thomas, he wrote these beautiful posts about you, Diana, and also Pedro Abrantes here in the Algarve. And sometimes in the comments, we read someone saying, you know, I never needed a guide. Well, of course, we don't need a guide. You don't need a guide, but hey, let's make some kind of exercise, a mental exercise here. Well, I don't need a filet mignon. I don't need a Ferrari. I don't need a personal trainer. Actually, I don't need a football player. I mean, a football player I need because I like to see the game, so I pay in order to assist the show. But for instance, a baseball player, for me, worth zero. Sorry, guys, I know you Americans, you love baseball, maybe Canadians too, but for a guy like me, it's worthless. But I respect, because I know it's very valuable for other people. So I should never say something like, well, I don't need baseball players because for me they are worthless. No, they are worthless for me, not for other people. So in short, when we hire a guide, we are hiring something premium. It's like getting a filet mignon instead of a burger. It's like getting a Ferrari instead of my lovely Fiat or something like that, you know? So it's a matter of option, choice, but it's very important to acknowledge this truth. The truth is many times when we invest in a tour guide, we are not spending money. We are improving our vacation time, our vacation experience, and we are actually saving money. Okay, like I said on the post, I'm not talking about tour guides who work for big companies with a microphone on a bus. They do a very good work, but this is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, and we are talking about local hiring a local private guide. So guides who are able to tailor the perfect day tour for you, the perfect experience. And most of us, we are at the very first, we are also salesperson. In order to sell our personal brand, we need to build a rapport. So you will never hear Lionel, Pedro, Gabriel, Pedro Brantus, so many tour guides just saying, do this because this is the best. We never use these kind of terms. We always try to build a rapport. We always gonna start making you questions in order to understand what can fit you better. Because we have the resources. Thank God, Portugal, we have plenty resources throughout the country. And then when people, they say, oh, I like wine, I like seafood, I don't like seafood, I rather to go to, and then because we have all this knowledge about the terrain, then we start building the best memorable experience for you. So this is my 2 cents for now. Then I'm gonna add something more because I wrote some other points, but I wanna give Lionel, because I know you like to talk because you are a tour guide and you like to express yourself too. So Lionel, let us know what you think about being a tour guide. What are the benefits?
Well, it's been great to listen to what you've been saying, you and Sergio. It's been great to be reading here some of the comments, and it's interesting to get different approaches. Okay, and I didn't have the chance to read all the comments, but I'll get back to that. Well, I'm just gonna give you one example. Okay, today I had a tour in the beloved Sintra area, which had a kind of a special request, some mobility issues, and we even had something extra to help with the tour today. So Sintra being Sintra with its beautiful weather, raining almost the whole day. Okay, and when people think that one size fits all, and I've seen hundreds and hundreds of people today in Sintra on the one size fits all experience. Okay, when it started raining, I don't know what those people did, but plenty of them probably got soaking wet, and probably several of them were regretting having taken the day to go to Sintra. Because they ended up seeing nothing and probably even got a cold or whatsoever. But as I was saying, I had a special request, and when I met my guests, we were chatting, we were walking, and then I realized, in fact, that what had been told, there was some mobility issues, not the worst case I ever had, but I needed to adapt the tour to what person could do. Okay, and being in Sintra, starting to rain, and already having a plan to supposedly to be easier to visit the place, but starting to rain and not being able to accomplish everything because the weather was not helping. Okay, anyone that just knows to go to a place and how to play the tape or to just follow the same route, the same itinerary, whatever, would be stuck without options. Okay, and sometimes that is the big wild card that an experienced and knowledgeable local guide can take from the sleeve. It's to have options, and people sometimes don't notice that we are taking some wild cards from the sleeve. We are taking different options. We are taking different routes to maximize the experience, to maximize the time, because in fact, even due to some issues, I had something scheduled for 1 hour that needed to be postponed, and we needed to do something in the meantime because those people wanted a certain kind of experience. And this is sometimes where the guide ends up, saving a lot of money, or at least saving a lot of money by not wasting time. It's being able to take that little extra spot, go to that little extra or special place, add something that was not on the plan, but we ended up just being able to do because we had time to do. Okay. And I see sometimes people, because something didn't go according to the expected to what was expected, they are just sitting and waiting to go to
Yeah.
the next place. Okay. And that happens by example. This was not the case today, but that happens by example when you go to a place and you have a certain time slot, whatever, and you ended up getting there too early and you need to wait, or by any chance you missed that spot and then you are told now you just you have the next available spot in 3 hours. What you going to do, sitting there for 3 hours? So this is sometimes where people are wasting money without spending money but just wasting time, where a knowledgeable person, a knowledgeable guide can really optimize the journey, optimize the experience. The other thing, and talking about Sintra, it's knowing how to move around. And I use this example quite often. Sometimes, and I've seen this happening several times, being and observing the same vehicle coming back to the same place like half an hour, 45 minutes after, because they missed the turn and needed to go the whole way around to go back to the same place. Okay. So sometimes trying to do self-guided things, ends up being more costly because the time is money, and money will be wasted or spent that way. The other thing is, of course, all the knowledgeable insights and all the local feel that people can provide. And this brings me to another subject, and that has to do with the meals. And a lot of people sometimes come and ask, oh, should we get the guide to have a meal with us? Should we not have the guide to have a meal with us? Those kind of things. Well, I've been having a lot of people experiencing true, genuine Portuguese food because I want to take them to a special restaurant. And sometimes I end up sharing places that are very special for me. And I kind of risk to ruin it if they start being, too popular. And I remember you, Gabriel, not too long ago, you just, spoke about that, about, going to a place that was packed and, you've been recommending it.
Mm.
But where I want to go, when you travel to some place, you want to have a truly local experience. So I end up pointing sometimes stuff on the menu and tell my guests, you should try this. Okay. If you want to really to try the local culture, you should try that. And very often they tell me, we would never have asked for that if it wasn't by you. If you didn't recommend us to try that, we would never have asked for that. So sometimes these little aspects enrich so much the experience, okay, that, it adds that more personal local feel. And I see a lot of people, and both of you and plenty of people around see the same, asking, we want the place where the locals go. We want the place to a genuine, authentic experience. We want to live like locals. Well, I'm sorry to say, but it's not on blogs or on travel, articles or, on written books and such that people are going to find that local feel, okay? And we as locals, of course, there's some recommendations that we can give, but there's always that little perk, that little special spot, that little extra that we know that we like to keep for ourselves. And sometimes if there is a chance, we will take our guests there. Not every day, because sometimes we don't have the opportunity to do it. But there's always that little special touch that we like to add. So this is my way of thinking, and I know that the both of you, so the three of us, we are kind of lined up on this mindset. But this is what makes a difference. So we just love to be this way, and getting people watching us, and getting all the nice comments we've been having around, we might be doing something right. So I believe, and we really want to keep doing it this way. So, well, these were my 2 cents. I know that our 30 minutes just run very fast. I'm going to go around a little bit. So, Sergio, I don't know if you want to add something else. Meanwhile, I know that Gabriel already told us it has some points over there that you want to speak about. But go ahead.
Yeah. No, there's just a couple more things that I like to highlight, and you touch on some of those good examples. For example, the time wasting. You mentioned that time is money, and that's correct. Time, and especially now being very recently a father, time will never go back. Money can be earned again, but time will never go back. And so if you're wasting 1, 2, 3 hours in a day on a tour, you're never getting those 3 hours back. So might as well go with someone knowledgeable who knows what they're doing and who fits your needs. And we're not even saying that it's us. We're talking about tour guides in general. So there's always going to be, it's not the absolute best, but this is the expression that I've been trying to convey, and the feeling that I've been trying to convey is to always find what is the best fit for you. This can be the hotel, this can be the locations, these can be the attractions, these can also be the tour guides. So try to find what's best for you, the best fit for you. And so in terms of tour guides, because each one has a different guiding style, there are some who are more informative, there are some who are more formal, there are some who are more friendly, and there are some who are just more entertainers. And to each their own, and there's value in everyone, and so it's only a matter to try to find what is the best fit for you. We're also talking about what to do with extra time. And going back to that, there are a few things that I like to add, and I purposely leave those things out of my regular itineraries because I know that there's going to be a little bit of a nuance over there that I like to convey. Well, I always tell this to people, well, since we're already here, might as well do the additional 200 meters to go to that extra location over there because you guys might not know about it, but it's actually a very interesting location. Can be a fantastic viewpoint, can be a bridge, can be something that is just out of sight, can be just a very, something as simple as a curiosity, as a plaque on in front of a cemetery. I've done that, and it's very interesting to tell the story about the plaque over there as well. And so there's a couple of things that you don't even notice. So we're basically maximizing the time that you have with us and showing you different aspects of the Portuguese culture or the scenery that you're enjoying a slightly different view. And there's value in all of this. Whereas if you were going over there by yourself, probably, well, I'm missing the whole story. One of the examples that I have to give very frequently is that sadly, because of the logistics, I'm not doing it anymore. But I've heard these stories from customers from other companies who were they were just dropped off at the Pinhão train station. Very beautiful train station for people who know it. There's a history behind it, and other companies they would be like, okay, so guys, you have over here the Pinhão train station. Be back here in 10 minutes, take your pictures and whatnot. I used to spend when I was including the Pinhão train station in my tours. I used to spend over there something like close to half an hour because there's a history to it, and it's an illustrated book of the traditions of the Douro Valley. This is just one of the many examples that I have to give, and sometimes, well, people don't even realize that I might include that. It was not on my original plan, but I'm going to offer them this little candy as a part of the experience. You also mentioned food. That's another great example that I also have. The Douro Valley, and in a world where we are basically rushing from one location to the other one of the things that I always try to convey to people that I'm traveling with is that the valley itself has a pace of its own. It's never meant to be rushed. It's completely different. It's completely the opposite. And so when I usually tell people that they have 2 hours for lunch, they are always like, 2 hours? That's quite a bit much. We're usually done in an hour and a half. Well, I always tell them, guys, you're going to need 2 hours, if not more. trust me on this. It's not the first time that I've done it. And usually at the place where we go for lunch, we usually have something like 3.5 hours there. Sometimes people use the better part of almost 3 hours to go through lunch. And that's amazing. That's fantastic, because one of the things that we like to convey is not just about the culture, it's also the feelings that the places, the regions, they transmit to you.
Exactly.
And that is one of the important things, that sometimes if you're doing things on your own and if you have a schedule to follow, well, it's going to be hush hush and very tricky to have this feeling. And as for the meal itself, well, I've done this with customers also. I've told them, well, we have this menu over here, and according to what's on the menu today, you're going to have a fantastic experience. Go for this, go for that, or don't go for this, because this is something that it's probably not going to be very palatable to you, because I've already had some experiences in the past where people haven't been enjoying this dish all that much. So I would stay clear from this one and focus on the other ones instead.
Mhm.
So if you were presented, if you were by yourself and you were presented with a menu, you would probably fall for that, thinking that it was going to be an exquisite dish, and you might end up not enjoying it that much. So these are just some of the examples that I have to give, very defined examples of how a tour guide can help you enhance your experience in the country. Gabriel, last
Well,
final
I
thoughts.
mean, no, yeah, just I'm just gonna highlight one topic, the cultural connections, because you've been talking about this. We've been talking about all of this, so we don't have to repeat over and over again. But just to highlight these cultural connections, I'm with you. I used to say, playing a bit, that I'm a Portuguese guy, so I'm part of the experience too. Some people, they visit Portugal and they don't meet a Portuguese person, so they are losing something. I mean, I'm not maybe the best Portuguese guy, okay? But at least I'm a Portuguese. I'm a native. I'm genuine. Okay, and just to finish. So, for instance, I was just thinking, tomorrow I'm going to run a tour to the two capitals of the Algarve, the former one, Silves, then Faro. So I'm going to start with Silves. I go there quite often. I like to visit the market. On the way to Silves, on the way, we're going to see the Queen's Tree, the Marmalade. So I'm going to share insights about the marmelo. Most people, they don't even have a clue about the origin of the word marmalade, the word marmalade. And then I'm going to talk about the carob. Maybe people, they're going to try carob for the first time. When people, they visit on their own a market or something, not everyone is so extrovert to go there and to ask something to the vendor, or maybe they are busy, or maybe you might think, okay, they don't like to, they are not tour guides, so they want to sell, they don't want to explain things. With a tour guide, there's no problem, because they already know us, and they're going to allow us to explain what we are seeing there. Because of course, I also buy things there. I buy and then I share with my guests, carob, pomegranate, whatever. And I even tip the guys, of course. So when I go there, through me, the visitors, the guests, they have a totally more immersive experience. And this is just a few examples. This is way more. It's way more than people, they think. We don't need a guide. We don't need a guide for 6-7 days. But now I'm going to sell. Hire a guide, even just for one day, at the very beginning of your Portuguese experience, and then you will mark my words, because the money you're going to invest in a tour guide, you will recover very fast. Okay, guys, so this is my 2 cents. It was amazing. Again, always a pleasure to talk with you and to share our insights with the world.
Well,
So I don't know if we have over here some comments that we could read,
yeah.
but I think it's
Yeah,
interesting
I'm
because
okay. I'm okay.
I saw a few ones popping up over here.
Yeah.
We've already mentioned Yvonne. So Thomas, he's over here. Hey Thomas, hope you're doing fine. Now we also have Pedro Branch. Yep. Teresa, we're talking about tour guides. Yeah. Eric. Yep. We have firsthand experience over here. Never needed a tour guide until he used one. Best decision ever. So there you go. And then we have over here some more from Teresa Santos. Portuguese, for example, if I go to Portugal, I don't need a tour guide. Yeah, you're a local, does make sense. But if you're going someplace else, yeah, it's worth it for sure, because it's going to help enhance your experience. You're giving over here the example of not being familiar with the areas that you're driving. So yeah, it's another one of the advantages, because we take the stress out of the driving. And I can speak for myself right now, especially running tours in a wine region. You don't want to be drinking and driving. You don't want to have a person being the designated driver that is not going to be able to partake in the full experience.
Mm-hmm.
So it does make sense for that as well. Mobility issues, yeah, Lionel also mentioned that as well. Usually, the fun story, usually people are keeping tracks of their steps over here in Portugal, how many steps they walked in Sintra, how many steps they walked in the Algarve, how many steps they walked in Porto. And I usually tell people that the day that you'll be with me, it's probably going to be the day that you'll be walking the least. So it's going to be a very relaxing day. Another advantage, because, well, if you're not sure where you're going, you're probably going to park your car quite a bit further away, or sometimes you maybe won't even have access to the location itself, and you're going to have to walk just a little bit further. So yeah. And yeah, we have Johnny over here. Cheers for tour guides. Well, thank you for the nice words. Well, hope to meet you in the future as well, Johnny.
Well, you will meet a great person, Sergio. If you have the chance
Indeed.
to meet Johnny, you will meet a great person.
Also,
I,
Okay, well, thank you.
I second Lionel.
I'm just going to add something, and I know we are we are getting a bit over time.
we're having fun.
About driving, I have a funny story to tell. Last week I was in Piodon, okay, and a few unique spots. And the decision that my guests made to not to go on a rental car and to take a tour, they went to Google Maps and checked the road to Piodon, and they got to the street view and they checked the roads to Piodon. And for those that know the road, it's mountainous. It's not narrow. I remember how the road was 25 years ago. I can assure it was totally different. But it's on the mountain with some big drops and no railings in the big part of it. So they decided no way that we're gonna drive there. So sometimes that can make the difference. If you try to assess the place you want to go and you are not sure, or you don't feel comfortable with what Google shows you. Are you really going to take that risk? Probably a good idea would be to leave that task into someone that is used to do it. Okay, so my 2 cents. Well, guys, I don't know if you have something else to add, but it was a great chat, and I want to thank everybody for the comments, everybody who watched us. I will be posting this on the YouTube, as soon as possible on our YouTube channel, and we have a Portugal Unplugged Facebook page. So for all of the group members that are watching the videos, are watching the live, be sure to go there and follow the page, because we are going to start sharing this content and a lot more over there as well.
Exactly.
Well, from my side, thank you very much. Good evening, and I'll see you back next week, 9:30 p.m. Thank you very much.
Yeah, good evening.
Bye bye, guys. Bye bye, everyone. See you next week.